everyone. Very warm welcome to this Pages of Hackney event at the Round Chapel Old School Rooms. So we're really thrilled to be hosting Anna Jones and Alice Levine tonight. Both of them are Pages customers as well, to celebrate the publication of Anna's 5th book, Easy Wins. Anna Jones is a cook, writer, the voice of modern vegetarian cooking, and the author of the best-selling A Modern Way to Eat, A Modern Way to Cook, The Modern Cook's Year, and most recently, One. Her books are sold in 10 countries and have been translated into 5 languages. The Modern Cook's Year won the coveted Observer Food Monthly Best New Cookbook Award and the Guild of Food Writers Cookery Book Award. Her previous books have been nominated for the James Beard, Fortnum and Mason and Andre Seaman Awards. The chair for tonight is Alice Levine. Alice is an award-winning presenter and one of the most sought-after voices in broadcasting today. She co-hosted the podcast My Dad Wrote a Porno, which ran for 6 seasons and amassed over 450 million downloads, and also hosts the podcast...
I wrote this, by the way.
The podcast British Scandal and Very Modern Quests. Alice was a presenter on BBC Radio 1 for 10 years and has presented the Mercury Music Prize on Channel 4, the Brits on ITV2, as well as Channel 4's reality show with a twist, The Circle. She also co-founded the supper club Jackson and Levine, which led to monthly columns for Company L and Marie Claire, plus a cookbook. So we're going to start with a conversation between Anna and Alice, and then we'll go to questions from the audience at the end. So please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Anna and Alice. Thank you.
Thank you. This is such an amazing turnout. This is amazing. I promise I won't make you just applaud over and over again, but Anna, as you can imagine, is very modest and very humble and a little bit shy about these things, but brand new book out now. Can we get a round of applause for Anna Jones? Big deal.
Thank you.
Easy Wins, 12 flavour hits, 125 delicious recipes, 365 days of good eating. And I loved this quote, so I thought I would read it to you. For when it's 8 p.m, you're starving and you want a Tuesday night triumph. And that is from Ottolenghi, patron saint of Sumac. Is that a fair encapsulation of the MO of the book?
I think it is. I think it is a book for definitely where I am in my life right now, which is time poor, sometimes malnourished, not quite, but sometimes definitely not eating as well as I would like to be, but really wanting to put like great food on the table for my family that my children will eat. And so I think this book, to me, I felt like the energy of this book wanted to be those daily moments of triumph where not everything in the day might have gone right, where you may have seen things or read things or heard things that don't feel nice or good to read, but you need something to bolster you and lift you up. And I feel like that's what I kind of want these recipes to be. I want them to be easy, I want them to be quick, I want them to come together, and I want them to be put on the table and everyone to be like, right, we did that, we made that. It wasn't too hard, it wasn't too complicated, there was nothing unexpected, and it tastes delicious. So that's the energy of the book.
Oh my goodness, we definitely need this in our life. Okay, so which win was the easiest? Which one just sort of flowed out of the pen, like writing a novel and just being like, I know this character?
It's a good question. She's good with the questions. I mean,
I didn't write these, I just found them.
What a coincidence. on the way down Powerscroft? Or?
Yeah, it was actually, yeah. I was
lovely.
very lucky.
So I think the easiest win of all was some recipes you test like 7,000 times, and by the end you just really don't like them anymore. But you sort of like have to, you've got a certain amount of recipes that you have to put in a book. So even though you don't like them, they go in, and then actually when you've had a break from them, the book comes out, they feel fun and great and you love them again. But there are recipes that literally just work. And I think there's the very first recipe in the book, which is in the lemon chapter, which I'm sure many of you will know I am fully signed up to lemons in every area of my life, is a pasta al limone. And pasta al limone is just a very, very simple pasta, as I'm sure you all know, with just lemon. I apologise I know there's definitely one Italian in the audience, so I apologise from
Would
the depths of my soul.
anybody like to make themselves
For
known
Camilla,
as an Italian?
apologies for my pronunciation.
Camilla, to you,
there.
we're sorry.
We'll
to you and
get
your
Camilla
people.
to come up at the end and actually say it right. But I love really simple pastas, and I wanted to kind of create a pasta that kind of showed off lemon in all of its absolutely magnificent glory. And it was one of those recipes where everything went into the pan, just pasta, lemon, garlic, olive oil, cooked it for 8 minutes, got the pasta out, and it was miraculous and delicious. And sometimes those are the easy wins, but they happen sort of once a book, basically.
It's like those pop songs you hear about where someone's like, we just sat down for 20 minutes and just like wrote yesterday.
Wrote it, yeah.
We just wrote it. And it's fine.
Or it's like a dress that you sort of like zip up and it fits you perfectly.
Yeah.
Like, it happens like once every 10 years.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you wear it to death. It's in every single photo. I know just the one you mean. So if there are easy wins, there must also be some kind of black sheep of the family of ingredients. Which ones were like in and out and nearly made it in and then made it in and didn't? And
Well, there were loads. I think as a kind of, in anything creative, you sort of want to like push the boundaries, and you want to kind of do things that people haven't done before, and introduce flavors that are unusual and miraculous. And I think you're kind of like any creative person, the sort of ego side of a creative person wants to be like, oh, no one's ever done this before. It's got yuzu koshu and mustard and, you know, some, I don't know, bib lettuce that's flown in from somewhere or whatever.
you love flying in those lettuces.
I love flying in those lettuces. It's really what I'm about. But I think there were lots of ingredients that were in and out, but I think the ones I landed on, and I think the more I've written recipes, the more I realise that actually it's simple things and it's doable things and it's kind of things that you already have in your cupboard. And it's using recipes in a way that is, you know, the smartness is in the recipe. It's in the cooking method. It's in the kind of choreography of how you go about cooking. It might be in like a tiny little tweak or thing that you add at the end. It's not necessarily in like a far-fangled ingredient no one's ever heard of and you're only going to use once and then it's going to sit at the back of your cupboard. Not naming any names.
When we spoke about this early doors, you mentioned crisps, and I didn't know if that was a joke or not.
Crisps?
Yeah, you were like, you know, crisps was in and out, but that was a joke.
No.
I was like, I'd love a chapter on crisps. It would be rogue, but I'd love a chapter.
No, well, I could definitely write a chapter on crisps. I think that crisps, poppadoms, tortilla chips are a underrated root texture.
Book 6?
Yeah, book 6.
Book 6, okay. You heard it here first. Choreography is a word you just used, and we've talked a little bit about that before in the comfort of your own home. How do you make a recipe feel like a nice dance rather than just me at a wedding at 1 a.m?
Well, I really behind you at a wedding at 1 a.m. just so you know. But I think that's what I've learned over the years that I've been cooking, that if someone is going to spend 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 40 minutes, or that's as long as my recipes ever are, I'll just list 10-minute intervals for the next 10 minutes.
Can we get them all for the
tape? It's probably going to be quite fun
tape?
for everyone.
170 minutes.
But if you're going to spend that time with me, in a sense, cooking a recipe that I've come up with in my funny little kitchen, I want every minute of that time to be used well. I want every minute of that time for you to be doing something that is going to change your food for the better. I want you to be every minute be doing something that makes the flavour pop and makes it feel more fun to eat. But I also don't want it to be stressful, so I don't want too many things. And I think that's, you know, the choreography of a recipe. I often think when I sit in restaurant kitchens and I watch chefs cooking, it does feel a lot like dancing. And when I used to cook, you know, for I guess I still cook for a living. But yeah, when I used to cook in restaurant kitchens, you know, when you saw like really chefs who really knew their stuff and, you know, were rolling pasta, you know, or kind of, you know, just moving around the kitchen, it sort of felt like a dance. And I think that's kind of what I try and do in my recipes. I think there's these things that chefs do in professional kitchens that are really actually not that complicated and quite easy. Things like seasoning all the way through your cooking, things like having a little bowl next to your chopping board that you can put all your scraps in so you're not walking back and forth to the bin a million times, or things like, you know, heating your pan before you know, cook your whatever it is. I think there's all these little tricks, and I think bringing those in and bringing that choreography in actually makes cooking easier and hopefully more beautiful. Can you call cooking beautiful? I think.
Oh, definitely.
When you eat it,
the way
you
you do it, definitely.
Well, I don't know if you'd say that on a Tuesday night.
Maybe not. But on a Thursday night in the
Thursday
round
night.
chapel, I would. I think the other thing that you've done with this book to make that dance a little bit easier is in the kind of recipe form, and that feels genius. I was talking to you about friends and family of mine who I cook with, and they find reading recipes incredibly laborious and, you know, trying to find your place again. But you've done something really special with this one.
Well, I mean, thanks for saying that. I've basically just written the ingredients again in the method, but there is something. I think I really geek out about recipes. Obviously, I've been doing this for somehow 20 years of my life, and I find beauty in words anyway, but I also, but not necessarily words that are long pieces of drawn out beautiful prose. I find real beauty in like an instruction done well, you know? There's something really beautiful about that. And when I was writing this book, I think you know, as is the accepted medium in lots of different industries, you just kind of do it the way people have done it before. And so I wrote all my recipes the way I'd learnt when I worked with Jamie Oliver, and, you know, wrote it exactly the same way. And then I realised, why am I doing this? You know, when it says 250 grams of flour in the ingredients, and then it says flour in the method, and then you have to look back from the method to the ingredients to work out how much flour
I mean, seriously,
you're actually supposed to put in. Like, how annoying. Why don't you just say 250 grams in the method? And it seems like the tiniest thing. But to me, these tiny things are actually what all added up or what make life better. So
time is money, okay?
Time is, well, yeah.
Those seconds that you've lost. But you do lose your place, you do lose your rhythm, to talk about choreography again. You do lose the kind of flow that you're in.
Yeah.
And I think for lots of people, cooking is not second nature or instinctive. So why not make it as easy as it can be?
And I think my brother's really dyslexic. For him, like, you know, reading a recipe, just like the words jump out of the page of him and at him, and trying to make recipes as simple and as accessible as possible is, I mean, he still never cooks any of my recipes, but whatever.
It wasn't the form. That's not what he was bothered about. Speaking of that kind of beauty in the words, is there anybody that you read the recipes of where you just think, oh, this is just, I could just read this just for the sake of reading, and I'm never going to make the recipe necessarily, but... I think there's lots of people. I mean, I've always been an absolutely like die-hard Nigella fan. Natch.
Yeah, she posted about the book today, guys, and no big deal. And honestly, I was just sitting on my own on a train, and I went bright red and felt really overjoyed. But no, I'm a big fan of hers. I think because she was representing women cooking in a way that didn't exist when I was growing up. And she, you know, I knew that food was what I wanted to do, and I knew it was how I communicated, but like everyone on TV was like Gary Rhodes, huge respect to him, but it was like a man with spiky hair and a chef's coat who, you know, was really muscly, and I just sort of didn't associate with any of them. So Nigella has always been someone that I kind of have loved, and I think the way she uses words is very beautiful. And
she's accessible, and it's sort of got fun in it, hasn't it?
Yeah. She's accessible, yeah, and yeah, wonderful. And I think, you know, obviously the Nigel Slaters of the world sort of write in a sort of poetic way. But I do think there's like a real change in food writing. And whilst the sort of Nigel Slaters of the world are, you know, captivating and beautiful, I think there's people writing with like an immediacy, which I really, really love, and with a personality and, you know, writing as they speak. Whereas I think, you know, actually Nigel Slater probably does write as he speaks, actually. But I think, yeah, so I love Alison Roman. I think the way she writes about food is kind of quite immediate and quite fun. There's a sort of food and recipe writer called Alicia Kennedy whose writing I really, really love, and it's a lot more kind of social commentary kind of through food. So yeah, whilst I, you know, respect to Nigel and Nigella, it's nice to see some other people.
Good selections. Good selections.
Thanks.
With Nigella, a thing that you have in common, and I think there's lots of commonalities there, is that I think there are those Nigella recipes that people make over and over again, and there are those kind of blockbuster dishes that are part of people's repertoire, and that's quite comforting, isn't it, to add something to your selection that you know that you can, you know, pull out at a moment's notice. In preparation for this, I spoke to some mutual friends, and everybody seems to have an Anna Jones up their sleeve. Mine personally is actually Exo Tofu, a recent one.
Oh,
it's
yes.
recent, last book. I'm obviously not an early adopter. I'm not like the first album. I wasn't there at the first album. Is there what's the one that comes up the most often when people kind of stop you in the street and go, Anna Jones, I love your ...
I think there's probably three that I think are the most cooked. There's a one-pot pasta with kale, cherry tomatoes.
We know it. We know it. We love it.
Which I think is probably the only recipe of mine that my mum cooks, and she maybe cooks it twice a week. She loves it. She literally can't get enough of it. And so that is, I think, hugely loved for its...
For the purposes of the tape, there's a lot of nodding,
it's really easy. I think the other one is a kind of dal from my first book, which has got some kind of
we know.
roasted sweet potatoes. It's got a little sort of coconutty chutney scenario.
Forget that. That's dead to you now. Forget it. It's the new book.
But exactly. Don't ever cook any of these recipes ever again. No, and then there's one from, I think, which is the last book one, which is like a baked cauliflower with kind of mustard seeds, turmeric, coconut milk. It's like a sort of gilded, beautiful, golden cauliflower with potatoes all around the edge that suck up the coconut milk and the lemon and all of those things. So I think it's those three that seem to come up the most. But it's so funny because you don't really know, like, everyone talks about things going viral, and I just don't even think that's really a thing. I think people just make up that things go viral. Like tonight is going to go viral. Like, 100%.
If you're not cancelled by the end of the tonight, I'm furious. Basically, that's what we're aiming for.
So yeah, but it's funny to think about the things the recipes that people have really connected with aren't necessarily the recipes that I thought would be the big.
Yeah, you can't predict it. I'm surprised Celebration Pie wasn't in there.
What, the 17-hour pie?
Hey, we do it for celebrations in the Levine household. We've got time on our hands.
I did say it in the title, Celebration Pie. You can only make this on a major celebration.
I'm a freelancer. Sometimes there's no work. I've got 17 hours for dinner. Obviously,
just so everyone who doesn't have like the inside track on Celebration Pie, you have to roast like 4 different trays of vegetables and then layer them up inside pastry, and it was meant as a kind of, you know, Christmas centerpiece.
I won't have you do Celebration Pie dirty. Like,
no, I've got a lot of time Celebration Pie. It's as it says, but you know.
Go home tonight and make Celebration Pie.
It'll be ready on Thursday next week.
It'll be ready on Christmas Day, actually. So, I wanted to talk to you about your cooking foundations, because I feel like you've actually had quite an unusual path to becoming a food writer, but I want to go way back. So when did you first start cooking?
I first started cooking when I was, really young. I think it was something that I loved. It was a weird, geeky child. No, I wasn't a total geek, but I think I was a real geek about cooking. I do remember a moment when I was inside in my mum and dad's kitchen. I could see my sister and like some friends who'd come over through the window, and they were playing on the climbing frame, and I was inside frosting grapes. which if you've never frosted a grape, and I really hope that there's very few people in this audience who have frosted a grape, because there's no point to it. It's basically getting fresh grapes, dipping them in egg white, and then dipping them in caster sugar. They are absolutely disgusting, but for some reason, as like a 9-year-old, I thought it was what I absolutely had to do that day.
I need to know where you saw that.
I don't know. My mum bought me, my mum, as you know, is clear from the one pot pasta twice a week, is not someone who adores cooking. But what she did do a really good job of was buying me lots of cookbooks and always buying ingredients and furnishing me with the kind of confidence and, the confidence to cook family dinners and always do that kind of thing. So from frosting grapes, we got sort of towards sort of chicken supremes with like a sort of tomato salsa, some breadcrumbs on top.
What age are we at this point?
Like 11. It was a weird thing. I really, really, really really loved cooking a lot.
I can't come out to play because I'm making chicken supreme.
Yeah, that's what I used to say to my friends. But you know, I still had friends, which was
incredible, actually. Yeah, really, really
it
amazing.
was something.
So did you make dinner on a regular basis then? Were you the cook?
Not the cook.
A cook.
I don't. But I definitely cooked dinner a couple of nights a week. Yeah, from quite a young age. As we've covered, my mum doesn't love cooking, so I think she was thrilled with it. But
I think that's inspiring to parents in the room, because actually I did lots of you do the classic baking stuff with kids, but actually to think by 11 they could be preparing you a 3-course meal.
Exactly. Get some grapes, frost those grapes. My sister's just walked in. Actually, she'll remember the grape frosting. She's gonna, yeah. I don't know if she does actually.
Get them doing it early before the SATs,
Exactly. Get your kids, buy them some recipe books, get them cooking,
and then be like Monday, Thursday, Friday. Thank you. You mentioned earlier a little-known chef cook called Jamie Oliver.
Yeah.
Do you see in your writing still now the Jamie Oliver influence?
I think I definitely do. I think what I learned from him was, loads of things. I was lucky to work for him when he was kind of in his ascent, so it was a time when everyone sort of wanted him to be part of what they were doing, and perhaps wasn't, the very famous and very successful person that he is now. So it was a different time. But I learned a lot, and I think what I learned more than anything was how important accessibility is, and how important usefulness is, and how important, just simple things like being able to buy ingredients is, because it's all well and good writing a recipe of far-fangled ingredients, but if no one can buy them, no one can afford them, and they scare people, then there's absolutely the cookbook's not worth the paper that it's written on. And so I think that kind of usefulness, that desire for the books to be useful and cooked, definitely.
Yeah, you don't just
was
want
born
them to be
there
on the shelf.
No, exactly.
A tool. You touched on shopping there for cooking. You've written about it in the book, how to kind of fill your basket, for want of a better way of putting it. What are some of your rules about that, or your kind of guiding principles for that?
Oh, that's a good question. My guiding principles of shopping, well, it's sort of all really based around how much time I have. I would love to say that I'm down the farmer's market like every weekend, but I'm not. But I do try and buy and support local growers. I know lots of people will be, Hackney adjacent people here, and there's a brilliant sort of veg bag scheme called Growing Communities. I've been buying my vegetables from for like 20 years, and all the vegetables come from, sort of within the M25 really, and they are delicious and brilliant and tasty. And so I try and sort of buy things like that. There are things that I don't really compromise on, like eggs and dairy. We don't eat loads of them, but we do eat some of them, and I would never buy just because I don't want to sort of lean into, the sort of factory farming element, I would always try and buy the best quality I can, but I am in a privileged position that I am able to do that. And I think I'm not someone who does like a weekly shop. I'm not a planner. I'm an instinct. I think because I've got like, I can whip something up. I think it feels fun for me to be like, what are we going to make tonight? And then make it. So yeah, I kind of really wish I was a planner. I think it'd be much more relaxing.
That always really shocks me because I think of you as being an organised person. I know you're going to like probably laugh at that.
I mean, I'm glad I've done that job on you because there's a few friends here and they will attest to the fact that is absolutely...
I'm still outer circle, so she's still putting on her best...
Absolutely not. I'm just...
Best foot
but
forward.
I'm glad I've convinced you.
No, maybe it's because I'm always later than you, so I'm just like, well, she's here. But on that front, I kind of meant to ask you at the beginning, but not to dwell on the negative, but did this come together very easily, do you set yourself deadlines? Are you somebody who's like, I'm going to have this many recipes written by the end of the day? Or?
I have to set myself deadlines because I am it's not I'm a lazy person. I'm definitely not a lazy person. I work hard, but I really need a deadline. So even though I've kind of already got the seeds of the ideas and I know what the recipes are going to be in a book for the most part, I need to give myself like a plan. So I'll say like, right, I'm going to write 2 recipes today, 3 recipes today, 4 recipes today. And I have to get through them because otherwise, otherwise I can just sort of write a few words, go for a coffee, another few words, do a bit of tidying up. It's the same. We all procrastinate.
Yeah, I was going to say that is my day, just minus the recipes, yeah.
But yeah, I have to, that is somewhere I do have a plan. I have this gigantic spreadsheet, which I call the master plan. I mean, I think I should probably name it something else. But
I don't think you coined that phrase, by the way.
No, I don't think I did. But it's very color-coded as things move up, the kind of hierarchy of recipes to the kind of, obviously, the peak of the hierarchy is ready to go. As they move through the stages of the first test, the second test, the third test, this is the tweak, that's the tweak. They change color, and it's like, yeah.
I think there will be other fellow geeks, not just fellow geeks to you. I'm also, doesn't need explaining, also a geek. How does a recipe come together? Do you like wake up in the night and you're like, oh my goodness, pasta plus garlic plus what's the other thing? Like, or do you like taste something? Like, how do you first come up with an idea?
Oh God, I wish it was like that. I wish I was waking up in the middle of the night. I've got to cook this. I feel like that's what musicians say they do, isn't it? They like wake up and there's just
like,
a tune.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that doesn't really happen. It's more through experimentation, and it's more through sort of. There are always, when I start a book project, there are always things that I have been cooking which are new and I'm really excited about and I want to include. There are always recipes that over the years I've kind of thought, oh, it'd be amazing to do that, or I go back to something I ate somewhere or something I experienced and they sort of come back in. But quite often, the recipes are built around a structure as they have been here. I kind of sort of tried sort of reverse engineer why food tastes good and came up with the 12 ingredients that I think I use the most to make food taste good. And so really we kind of built each chapter around those, I built, but obviously there's lots of people involved in making a book, but at that stage it was just me. So yeah, I was sort of just also trying to look at each ingredient, like a lemon, for instance, and use it in traditional ways, but also use it in some unexpected ways, because I think, if you chop up a lemon really finely and toss it through a salad, delicious. If you roast a lemon, delicious. If you, slice a lemon thinly and put it on top of a pizza or a tart, delicious. If you, if you chop it up and use the juice and put some zest on, also delicious. I mean, there's a lot of chat about lemons that I could continue with, but I think some of it is things that are old and some of it is ways to try and use an ingredient in more interesting and kind of economical but also delicious ways.
And you've definitely done that. I really feel like you have a very distinct style and palette, like with your house and your clothes and your choices aesthetically with books. Do you have a palette of flavors? Is this your palette of flavors?
I think it is probably, this must be my palette of flavors, because I sort of had all these different flavors hanging around and was trying to sort of choose and pull in the ones that worked and pull in the ones that didn't. You can see how my brain works. I sort of have almost like all the tiles of the different flavors, and sort of imagine my pantry and then the things that are me, I guess, and the ingredients that I feel like I use all the time. So yeah, I think there is a strong palette of ingredients and tastes and colours, and for every sense, I guess, and music, and we all have the things, don't we, that we exist in.
Oh, definitely. And I feel like on the bingo card, I don't know about everybody else, but there's on that grid that we see there. I mean, I'm like, yep. So there weren't any that I was like, weird, onion, never heard of it.
A lot of people have had quite a problem with peanut butter.
Oh,
They think
okay.
it's a
Is that
left-field
divisive in the
edition.
room, peanut butter?
They're not behind it. They don't like it in savoury food, and they're angry. They're coming for me.
And they're here tonight. Let them in. They have come to crash. It's divisive, isn't it? It can be divisive, but I mean, can't keep everybody happy, can you?
I think but then, it can be divisive, but I think anything can be divisive, apart from lemons. Obviously, everyone loves lemons. Apart from, actually, quite a long time ago, I think after my second book, there was a blog that was started. I've searched for it ever since, because I just thought it was such an unusual and brilliant idea. But they basically had a bit of a bee in their bonnet that I put lemons in almost every recipe I ever wrote. So it was two people, and they decided to take it upon themselves to rewrite all my recipes with no lemon in. And for about a month, it existed, and they were posting, and it was like, no lemon. And I was like, amazing. I don't know if this is what the world needs. I don't know if my books are, first of all, well known enough that they need an offshoot no lemon blog. But, I was there for it.
Just the dedication.
It was a lot of dedication.
To troll you like that, the dedication.
Yeah, but they
wow.
never said anything to me. It was
just a private project.
In fairness to them, it was a private project. They just wanted to do it for themselves, but it only lasted a month, so.
You know why, though? Because when I spoke to you, I think it was about the last book, you were like, usually people do maybe 80 or 100 recipes, but I can't remember how many you did, 3,000 or something for that book.
Yeah.
And that's so they obviously started on it, and they were like, we simply don't have the manpower. We cannot rewrite every recipe without lemon. You've talked a little bit about how your tastes and your writing style developed. This book is dedicated to Eska, to your youngest.
Yeah.
How has your food life changed since having children?
Oh my goodness, almost without, it's a completely different landscape, really, isn't it? I think I couldn't, as a young chef growing up, I literally couldn't believe that no one could be bothered to make a bechamel. Be like, guys, it's so easy, it's a bit of flour, you stir it for a while, you slowly add milk, and then it becomes creamy and delicious. And then you throw it onto whatever else, you want. And now I'm literally like, who would ever make a bechamel? So I think, things have changed a lot, and I think for the better. I think we've all come to expect so much from our food, but we all, I'm not including all of you in this, some people might spend 2-3 hours in the kitchen every night, but in the large part, we all want to spend less time cooking, but have more from our food, more flavour, more deliciousness, more kind of vitality, more colour, more vibrancy. And so I think whilst I love the idea of kind of labouring over things in the kitchen, I think actually these, kitchen shortcuts are where it's at. That was a long answer, wasn't it?
No, I was nodding. I was trying to catch. I was like, yes. I was like, if I get on my feet, it's a bit much, but I was very.
Do you love making bechamel?
I have bechamel 5 to 7 times a week, which isn't recommended. It's a lot of butter.
That's too much, yeah.
It's too much.
Bechamel on toast, yeah.
I think anything that can go catastrophically wrong if your guesstimate at the beginning of how much you need is off, It's just this booby trap, isn't it?
Yeah, I think bechamel is a bit of a booby trap.
It's like people who make mayonnaise.
Yeah, I mean, I do make mayonnaise.
Oh,
but
well, you
it's
are
on
taking your life in your hands.
It's on a rare occasion.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're particularly stressed because people are coming over, you're like, oh, make mayonnaise, why not? That's kind of when I do that as well. Speaking of mayonnaise, have I got a segue for that? No, I don't know if I do. Oh, no, I do. I think there's a bit of a misconception, maybe, that you only eat things that are completely super duper healthy and whole all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is a misconception. I'm going to put it out there. I'm not citing it. I'm not giving any reference for that. But I wanted to know, do you have a cupboard of stuff that you go to when you're like, break glass, I want and what is it? The reason I say mayonnaise is because I think when we talked about this before, you were like, sure, I've got mayonnaise in the cupboard. I was like, we all have mayonnaise. Like that doesn't count.
Well, I think two things. I think definitely not everything I eat is super wholesome. And I love frequenting the restaurants of Hackney because I have a small child and don't really leave the house after 7 p.m. I love frequenting the restaurants of Hackney through the medium of Deliveroo. Haven't we got just the best restaurants here? It's so amazing. I feel so lucky to live here and to be able to eat the wonderful things that are made by the people around here. So there's definitely kind of that element, and I think some people might think that I absolutely cook every single night of the week. But I had, in the sort of run up to this book, I had quite a few sort of journalists coming to my house for me to make them cookies and cakes and those kind of things, which was not nerve-wracking or weird at all. I just had a quick look in my cupboards and just thought, oh my goodness, is there anything I need to hide?
Sure.
But I was quite proud of myself. I didn't.
John, dig a hole in the garden now.
Yeah, there was nothing I felt like I had to put away, or nothing. Like, I feel really strongly about balance for myself, for my Hellman's mayonnaise loving husband, and also for my kids, because I just think, like, I don't want them to be those guys that never had a Tunnocks caramel. I don't want them to be the guys that aren't having the Haribo at the party. So I think it's all about balance. I don't really think there is anything I would necessarily hide.
You do have a term, though, don't you, for your own stash?
Yeah. I love that you're bringing this out.
Is this like top secret?
No, it's not top secret at all. In fact, I'm thrilled to share it. So yes,
I think we're never going to speak again, possibly.
No.
Okay,
We definitely are. This is great. So John basically knows that, like, I don't eat loads and loads of sweet stuff, but there are a couple of points in the day at which sometimes chocolate is required. Not every day, but sometimes about 4 p.m. This is no news to anyone. We all have this moment. And then also after dinner, like something sweet. And in our house, we've sort of developed this term for the chocolate that is mine, and John calls it my personal chocolate, but my Percy chocolate for short, which is a very strange term, and I love that you've made me lay
the
this
Percy
bare in front of, many, many witnesses. John's going to be mortified.
Wasn't your son like, can I have a Percy?
Yeah, no, so he has, then it's kind of like, it's rolled on that he now has to have his own personal bar of chocolate also, yeah.
I just love, is it behind bars? Like,
No,
it's just a kind of
no.
gentleman's agreement.
It's just high up in the fridge that he can't reach. But
Yeah.
he's still at
John
the
or
stage.
your kid?
I mean, both. No, but yeah. But Dylan is still at the stage where he will ask before he takes something that is, sweet. He will ask us, which is adorable. And I'm sure that is going to be very short-lived. He's going to be eating full bars of Percy in no time.
I just really like the sort of like legal parameters of that. Like, you knew it was Percy, get the cuffs on him.
I think John's created it himself. He's such a respectful person.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't mind if he had some of my chocolate, but he's laid that down for himself.
Yeah, you've made your bed now.
He's made his own bed, yeah.
Yeah, quite. It would be remiss of me to not ask, when you mentioned getting restaurant food delivered to your house, If you have any favourites because people will live around here, obviously it will make it harder for you to order dinner if everybody then goes orders from there. But does anybody deserve a shout
I think
out?
it's probably all of the places that you guys already go to and love.
Domino's, we've got McDonald's.
Exactly, Domino's, KFC, McDonald's.
I'd love it if that was just a curve.
Thanks for teeing up that joke for me. I literally took it, or you started it and I finished it.
I was about to do it a third time, so I was enjoying it myself.
So on last Saturday night, I went to a place in Hackney Wick called Darlings. It is a pasta restaurant. It has just moved from Walthamstow to Hackney Wick. Unbelievable. Some of the best pasta I've ever eaten in my life. Up there with the River Cafe. Anywhere else. Wonderful woman called Egla cooking. Beautiful, stunning environment. Majorly encourage you to go there. It's kind of hidden away around the back of Hackney Wick, but I mean, that is what Hackney Wick is all about. So, it's brilliant. I love, obviously, the Hackney Sorts, the Lucky and Joy, the High Cafe. Just trying to think of other places.
They're great choices.
Great, they're going to be my choices, yeah.
They're great. No, I think they're top notch. I mean, you didn't need my seal of approval, but I'm just double checking that I'm not wildly overrunning because my eyes don't let me.
Got 5 minutes.
That's either
Got 5.
Yes you are or 5 more. This is your 5th book, which is unbelievable. This is maybe this is not what I do for my job, so maybe this is a very stupid question. But after writing 4 books with a lot of recipes in, is it hard to think of more things to do with food?
It is at times, yeah. I think definitely over the last 8 years there have been. I think life in general is a lot, and I think parenting brings with it certain challenges. I think life brings with it certain challenges. I'm not just saying that because I'm a parent, but there have definitely been, moments where I don't think I felt quite myself through whatever reason, whether that be I had postnatal depression after my son Dylan was born. We had lots and lots of rounds of IVF to have my son Esker. And, those moments were not when I felt like I was kind of myself and my best self and my most creative self. And so definitely in those moments, I was like, oh my God, how am I ever going to write another recipe again? Some days I was like, how am I going to just make dinner? It's like, I think when you feel quite far away from the person that you are, there's nothing creative there. It's very difficult to, you have no reserves. There's no there's no kind of, there's nothing. So I definitely feel like there have been times when it's felt almost insurmountable to think that I might write another book. But luckily, things turn around, and I feel so happy in my life now and so glad to be where I am, and I'm the other side of some times that felt difficult, and I know everyone has difficult times, and I'm not singling myself or my situation out as anything exceptional at all, but just I think it's sometimes good to know, isn't it, that it's not that everyone has those deep moments and those times when there isn't anything to call upon. So yeah, but I feel now actually like I'm firing on all cylinders. I'm just going to crack out another 5.
Oh my God, do it.
Just going to do it.
Quick, don't let us stop. Don't let us stop. The publishers are like, fantastic. So in a way, these are sort of, not to be too sentimental about it, but they are kind of little time capsules or diaries in your life as illustrated by food, even if you're not kind of, it's not autobiographical literally, but it is a kind of journal. I
think it is, and I think I have a terrible memory, and the only moments of my life I ever remember are when I ate that Tonics tea cake at so-and-so, or when I was at my grand's house and we used to have Yorkshire puddings, or, you know, when I was in LA with my sister and we went to this brilliant restaurant where they have pieces of toast this thick covered in, you know, jam and peanut butter. That's how that's my kind of constellation. That's how I remember. So for me, they very much do feel like sort of diaries, because I guess it's the way I communicate, and they also feel like different changing points in my life too. And it's, you know, it feels lovely to have been able to write them down, and also very useful, because, you know, sometimes when I don't know what to cook, I've got...
You're like, God, that's a great idea.
I've got a few things to choose from.
Who came up with this? Fantastic. Well, this is a 10 out of 10 chapter, so I'm very glad that you've written it. It's also beautiful. We'll come on to some questions in just a second, but I just wanted to say, like, aesthetically, we've talked about kind of palettes and style, but shout out to Matt Russell, who did the photographs.
The photos, and Adriana, who was a designer, who basically, I wish was here. She's like one of those people, you know, those really, really stylish friends where basically everything that she has, you're like, do you mind just, where did you get that? Could you just tell me?
Could you send me a link now? Because you'll say you will and then you won't, so you just send it now.
She zoomed me from her house, actually, and I was like, the shelves at the back. Could you just send me a link? So yeah, she did an amazing job.
The J that dots the I on wins. Oh, chef's kiss.
It was actually you that pointed that out to me. It had been fully published, and I hadn't even noticed that. Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah.
God, I'm so smart. It sometimes actually like takes my breath away. Would anybody like to ask a question to Anna Jones? Hello.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to, not to undermine you, I'm going to repeat your question after you said it in summary so that people can hear it. For the purposes of the podcast, do you have a favourite utensil or tool? And secondly, do you mind sharing? Can you imagine if that's a no, then the first one's sort of moot, but...
Sorry, I'd like to keep it to myself. No, great question. We were actually just talking about that earlier, because we were talking about the event of air fryers and like how, like, I'm sure they're fantastic, but there's something about the way I cook that makes me not really be able to understand them. But I'm sure they're brilliant. And actually I was thinking, like, in 5 years' time, like, I will have written no recipes for them, and they're going to become like the cooking appliance that everyone uses, and we're going to, like,
they're going to be our bosses.
They're
going to rule the roost.
We're going to be ruled by air fryers, I think, eventually.
So, Jamie's doing a show, right, on air fryers?
I think so. Yeah. The joke's on us. Yeah. When the air fryers take over. So I think quite simple things. I think microplanes, 10 out of 10. Use them every day. What else? I just don't really use that many, like, appliances. I've got a KitchenAid, which I do love, but I only think is useful if you, I would say, bake upwards of twice a month. Otherwise, I don't think worth the investment, to be honest. This is a very boring answer to quite an interesting question.
What about knives? Because my most used best knife is not an expensive one. I think it was £8. It's got a red plastic handle. It looks like it's not sharp. Serrated. I think it's called a tomato knife. Yeah,
the Victorinox serrated tomato knives.
It will take your head off, but it is so good.
That is that, and then like a small Polaris chef's knife, which also not expensive, probably £25. Are the two knives I use the most. And I think the serrated knife, I mean, use with caution, because it can cause, you know...
Because it's got a plastic handle and it's brightly coloured. You're like, this old... and then goner.
Yeah, so I would say those are two most used things. I use a bullet blender quite a lot. I mean, I hate the look of them. I just don't know why someone can't design a really nice looking one, but they're very useful.
I got for Christmas it's a bendy spoon spatula hybrid to really clean out jars.
Oh, they are actually
quite
amazing.
Good.
Yeah.
When I got it, I was really like grumpy about it. I was like, oh, forget that. But excellent.
No,
so
they're excellent. They're excellent. I use one of those elbow lemon squeezers quite a lot. I have got a range of spatulas, actually. I'm a big fan of spatulas. I've got a couple of small, couple of big. I feel like if you're into not wasting your food, excellent. Also a very satisfying experience to spatula out a bowl.
Scrape.
So yeah,
beautiful scrape.
A good spatula scrape is up there with the greatest pleasures.
Oh, tell me about it. ASMR sensuality at its best. Hello.
What's your favourite
What's your favourite ingredient that's a main character energy that you would pair with one of the
I like
subsidiaries in the book?
The main character energy. That's a tricky one because I feel like my main character energy ingredients kind of change as the seasons change. Bye. It's my nephew. Bye.
Is it something you said?
Yeah, no, he's just not. He doesn't like kitchen utensils.
Yeah, it was the spatula chat. He was like,
out,
absolutely not.
Yeah. He's like, waste that batter, all right? Just, but no, I would say my sort of a hero ingredient at the moment is we're eating a lot of. It's so difficult. It's so difficult because I feel like there's just like a gigantic diversity. But if I'm really honest, I think my hero ingredient at the moment is pasta. I'm just craving a hell of a lot of pasta at the moment. We've been making the creamy broccoli, like the confit garlic broccoli rigatoni from the book a lot, and it is a good one. I've been eating a lot of. I've been making kind of big jars of confit garlic, and that's been going into everything. I think it's also having small children. They famously are quite big fans of pasta. So I feel like that's a major ingredient. I feel like squash has been a major ingredient over the last few weeks. I feel like blood oranges and radicchio have also been very major ingredients.
Guys, the season's about to end. Go.
Yeah, the season that was all citrus, guys. All citrus. Your lemons are going to start being flown in soon enough. So yeah, get those lemons. Squeeze those lemons, guys.
Do it now. When life gives you lemons, just squeeze them and slice them thin. Yes, hello.
Instead of a peanut, I would say the closest nut to a peanut would be an almond. I just love the flavour of a peanut. I also have I can't really eat hazelnuts or walnuts.
Whoa.
I have like some kind of itchy sensation.
The walnuts are a very dry mouthfeel, but the hazelnut, famously.
Yeah, no, I had a job as a chef where I had two. This was just before I turned vegetarian, and could be the reason why. I was like on the cold section of a restaurant, and my two jobs were to peel walnuts, not shell walnuts, but to peel the actual outer skin off walnuts. So you'd roast them first, then you'd have to individually, it was like a Michelin-starred restaurant, rub each walnut between like two little cloths in your hand for ages and ages and ages until all the brown stuff came off and the walnut was like perfectly white.
You had to buff walnuts.
Essentially buff walnuts, yeah.
What a life.
Yeah, I know, it was fantastic. So, and also with my sort of low level sort of walnut reaction, itchiness thing, it was really my worst nightmare. The other job was boiling octopuses. As I say, this was before I turned vegetarian, but I had sort of repetitive nightmares about it, and I haven't been able to be in the company of an octopus ever since.
So I hope that helps.
So that wasn't a direct answer to the question.
I guess the answer is octopus.
Thanks for putting me up on that. I would say a almond or a hazelnut will match in perfectly. And if you had a nut allergy, which I'm presuming you don't, but a seed butter is actually a wonderful thing. A sunflower seed butter, pumpkin seed butter, delicious. Mixed seed butter. Delicious. You can buy these things in the shops now.
They're available to buy right now. I saw some other hands go up, and then on this side, sorry, because I'm just ignoring people on this side.
Oh,
No, very shy side, that side.
Yeah, that's a shy side.
Any other show-offs in the room? No?
No.
Oh, yeah, lovely. Thanks.
So in the time since your first book came out, more and more people have adopted veganism and vegetarianism. How has that changed the way you communicate what you make?
It's a great question. Thank you. So I think it's sort of weirdly. I've never wanted to put a kind of vegetarian. I've never written the word vegetarian on any of my books, and that was a kind of conscious choice because I feel very uncomfortable in any kind of sort of preaching situation, and I always wanted people to just sort of look at the food and feel excited about cooking it. And I wanted to convince people with delicious food rather than with, sort of labels or rhetoric. And I feel really strongly about labels with food anyway. I think, you know, it's our job as people who work in food to just shout from the rooftops about the deliciousness of food, because I think there's already enough people in the media kind of putting tags on things and making things good and bad, and, you know, and that does not chime well with me. I think my food has become simpler. I think it's almost become not more indulgent, but I think definitely my first couple of books, I was much more down the kind of quinoa road. And I think that was also where I was in my life. But I think this sort of down the quinoa road, it's a good road, actually. I enjoyed that road.
It's a good title for a book.
Do you think? I think it would sell well.
I'd read it.
I think it would sell well. No, but I think I think more and more I just want food to feel generous and delicious, and not because it's got loads of cream in or loads of butter in or, you know, loads of whatever else in. I want it to just feel delicious because it is rounded with flavour, it is full of good stuff, and it is made in a way that feels easy and approachable. And yeah, I think it definitely has changed things. And I sometimes feel slightly annoying that veganism and vegetarianism have sort of become one and the same now. So when you go anywhere, if you are vegetarian, you're just offered the vegan option. And I absolutely am behind that. We eat not wild amounts of dairy or eggs in our house, and they are, you know, carefully sourced. But yeah, I do feel like there is kind of a nuance, and I do feel like there is a kind of middle ground, and I feel like, you know, actually I feel there's a bit of a backlash in some ways against the kind of extreme nature and the sort of, you know, veganism that the media has sort of thrown at us. You know, like, oh, everyone's going vegan, vegan burgers are selling out, vegan foods are like the biggest thing, and they're going wild, and the supermarkets are filling their shelves with them, and it's just our natural reaction to have a knee-jerk against that. So it's just not useful. I think it's useful just to make delicious food with vegetables.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah, what you said. Do you like a veggie burger though?
Yeah.
A vegan burger?
Yeah.
Occasionally? Any other questions?
Burning questions.
I do also have some here that have been, I was about to say anonymously submitted. That's like, Anna, what's going on with last year's tax return? No, they're like sort of.
I'm very open about that. Just head to company's
Can we
house,
project
fine.
it up on the wall, please? Thanks. How do you feel about this one? This one's from Hope. Easy Wins is a brilliant spotlight on your key pantry entries. I'd love to know. This is your Hope. You asked it, Hope. Thank you. I was like, somebody's asked the exact same, with the exact same wording, Hope. I heard you come from a big family.
Oh, yes.
If I'm entertaining over the Easter weekend, what are your top tips, and what recipes from Easy Wins might work well for a Sunday lunch? Oh, God, that's good, because I haven't even thought about that.
That's actually a good one. I'm from quite a big family. Like, my actual immediate family is not that big. It's just normal size.
I don't know where this person heard that. That's unreliable information.
Well, I think my dad's one of 12 children, which is unusual.
Unheard of, yeah.
It's unheard of. And yeah. We worked out the other day that my gran would have been pregnant 9 months on, 9 months off for 18 years. Can you imagine that?
What a reaction in the room. That was like,
I mean,
that was actually more extreme than the octopus.
I know. Can you imagine? It is just wild. I mean, she is not around anymore, but if she was, I just really feel like after I would have liked to have sat down and really told her how fantastic I think she is. But anyway, that is a definite diversion. So Easter, in this book, in the lemon chapter, there is a tart. It's a green chili and lemon tart. It's basically, couldn't be easier. It's almost, you use puff pastry as if it were essentially a pizza base, and then you top it with cheese, some finely sliced lemons and onions and green chili. And it looks like
we had this the other night.
We did have it the
Very
other night.
tangy. We had it. We
had it the other night. It looks like you've made a gigantic effort. It's actually taken you about 15 minutes. It's very easily veganizable. I thought
you made a massive effort the other day.
Yeah, I did make a huge effort.
Okay.
It took me hours and hours and hours. I was slaving away. I would make that. I would also maybe shout out the tahini chard, which actually is a recipe inspired by the lovely people from Honey & Co. And it's blanched chard and lemon juice and garlic and tahini all tossed together. It sounds like nothing, but it's one of those recipes that is like a wonderful alchemy of the ingredients. I would do the tart, I would do the tahini chard, and then I would do the like cheese and pickle roast potatoes.
Oh my God.
And then I
So
think
good.
for dessert, I'd probably make, it'd be a toss-up between the chocolate sundaes. In the book, it's with cherries, obviously not the time of year for cherries, but, you know, maybe the last of the blood oranges.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, you could have some poached pears, something like that, delicious. Or if you wanted a more sort of like, you know, you could use the lemon strudel cake with some like creme fraiche on the side. I'd like that, actually. If anyone is up for cooking that and inviting me around for Easter, I will sack off Easter with my family.
And just coat that in a thick layer of bechamel and you are done. That would be absolutely delicious. That sounds so good. And I always like a couple of different, like I like lots of things.
Yeah.
Particularly for when there's lots of people. I quite also recently did a thing where, for a big thing like that, friends bought a thing. Like I did maybe 3 or 4 dishes, and then friends bought, and then you just got this amazing. So that's kind of what you've just asked people to do.
Using the American term potluck. Yeah.
I was trying to avoid it. Could you see? I was like, how can I call it something?
How can I say?
My mum would call it a fuddle.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that worse?
Well, no, I have that when I have to order a children's hot milk because I refuse to say the word baby chino.
Oh God, no!
I've got
don't
a problem
do it.
with it. So I'm the same. Every time I'm in a Hackney coffee shop, I'm sort
You
of
get him an
fumbling
espresso.
over my
You're
words.
like, you're having a macchiato.
Exactly. He has a double espresso and it's fine. Anyway, that feels like a bombshell to finish on, doesn't it, Alice?
I just want to scan the room in case anybody's like suddenly thought of one. Oh, yeah, I thought so. How you got into cookbook development, and is this where you will stay, and what's the next chapter?
That's a good question.
What's your 10-year plan, Anna?
My 10-year plan, the master plan. I'll get my spreadsheet out. No, so I got into writing cookbooks when I was working for Jamie Oliver. I worked for him as a chef, and then his business started changing, and so I helped him develop and write his cookbooks, which is a fantastic education. And obviously, it was quite high pressure because his cookbooks sell at one point more than the Bible, which is something, isn't it? So yeah, you sort of had to get it right. Because there are quite a lot of, if you made up mistakes, there's quite a lot of mistakes out there. So it was a really great education, and then I sort of went on to write cookbooks and help other people write cookbooks, and then eventually someone asked me to write a cookbook, and it was all quite natural and organic, and that's a good word, isn't it? Natural, organic, and it happened quite easily. And I don't think, actually, because that was 10 or 11 years ago, and I don't think now I would perhaps the same would have happened, because I think now you're expected to have like an Instagram following, or, you know, be making 75,000 food reels on TikTok every day. And whilst those things are wonderful, I am very grateful for the fact that I started doing this before that existed, and it was just writing and recipes. And I don't know if this will be the only chapter. I always like joke with John that I'm like going to become an actress or something. I'd be a terrible actress, but I don't know. I definitely know that I love to write, and I think maybe I'd love to write about some other things that I have thoughts and opinions on. Personal chocolate stashes.
The Percy, yeah.
Yeah, baby chino, the word baby chino. And
that's a 2,000 word at least.
Exactly. So I think we've got the next book proposal
Definitely.
sorted out, yeah.
Just like sort of intense opinion pieces about the everyday. I thought I saw one more hand. I did. Okay. How do you copy a recipe?
Yeah. Well,
That wasn't the question.
the technical definition of that, I think, which has been quoted many times when I've been working on, not my own books, other people's books, I think you have to change 2 ingredients. That's actually the
Is
actual...
that true?
I think that's the actual legal answer, which is kind of really weird.
You are a lawyer, right? You are here on official business.
But no, I think I just feel like the world of food is filled with a lot of really, really brilliant people, and some of which are now my friends, and so it feels really nice to kind of include them in my books and the work I do, and also several less recipes for me to personally write, which is always a win. No, not really. But it's it always feels really nice to have other people and other voices, and I feel strongly about trying to, I think quite a lot of the food media world has been represented by a certain type of person for a very long time, and so to me it feels important to make sure that there is diversity and be able to introduce other voices. And I think there's some brilliant publications, Vittles, I don't know if any of you read that, doing that, which is fantastic. But I try and do that a bit, and I guess including people in my book, sometimes that's the reason why, just great cooks I've seen, and I feel like it would be lovely to shout about them a bit more. And then other times it's just a really, really amazing recipe from someone that just fits the bill, and they're kind enough to kind of lend it to me. I think other times as well, it's an ingredient that is not part of my makeup and my heritage and where I come from. And so I think then it's really important to, whilst I recognise that, tahini is not something I grew up with, it's something I use, it's something that I can buy within 2 minutes of my house in this brilliantly multicultural city that we live in, but also to have other voices and people that have grown up with that and can speak about it from a kind of place of deep cultural heritage and connection. So I would say those are, the reasons
Because you
for
would
including other people.
usually be shouting those people out, right? You'd usually be saying, this is a recipe from these amazing... It would be, I'm imagining it's quite rare that you would sample someone's food that you admire and then change the peanuts to octopus and the kale to chocolate and be like,
I'm
oh...
always changing peanuts to octopus. No, it's, I think it is a mistake for people. I think quite often I see people using other people's recipes, and as someone who reads a lot of recipes and sees, a lot of cookbooks, when that's someone else's and they've just changed a few things, and that person whose recipe it was also knows, and it's just no good for anyone. And I think the longer I spend, and the more confidence I guess I have as a person, you just know that actually not lifting each other up, but talking about other people and sharing each other people and naming other people, and there's enough space and for everyone, and the more you name and lift people up, the more the more satisfying things are, I guess.
Yeah, that's such a good question. Because I think I'm looking at Joe in the yes, it's a very solemn nod. It's midnight. You need to go home. Can you help me in thanking Anna Jones for her time? What an amazing evening. In case I didn't make it clear at the beginning, Anna has a new book out. It's called Easy Wins. It's available to buy now. It's a lovely present for yourself or for somebody else. And I think you're hanging around to do some signings. Is that right?
I am, yeah. And I would love to say thank you to Joe and all the guys from Pages who put on this absolutely lovely evening. And I just felt so strongly that I wanted, the book came out today, and I just felt like it would be so lovely to be here in Hackney, where is home, with some of the people that are friends and some of you guys who are new friends. And it just feels so lovely to have shared some time with you. So thank you so much. And also, thank you to Alice for being here and for asking wonderful questions. And we were joking because I think Alice has once done, was it the Sydney Opera House? So I was joking with Alice that this is the biggest gig of her life. And I think she's nailed it.
I tried my best.
If you'd like to buy Easy Wins or any of the books mentioned, please head to our website pagesofhackney.co.uk, where you can buy it for collection from the bookshop or for delivery nationwide. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe wherever you find your podcasts for more literary events like this one.